to convene to our regular session. And the next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you please stand and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our next agenda item is approval of our minutes from our September 28th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 6, superintendent's presentations. Jonathan?
Yeah, it is my great pleasure and privilege to ask our tennis coach, most likely to start us off, but to honor our tennis team again. I think this may be 5 years in a row. I'm not sure. I'll have to get the details from everybody, but it feels like 10 years in a row. And we're so excited to have you back after winning yet another state championship competition. So, Coach, I'll turn it over to you, and I know you probably have some players that may want to tell us a little bit about the story behind. Thank you. So let's welcome our coach.
Coach.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
All right. Thanks again to the board for having us, and Mr. Cooper and everybody that was involved in the invitation. We really appreciate it. This is an incredibly talented and hardworking group of girls that I have, and not only on the court but in the classroom too. I think you'll find that these are some of our best students, and so it's really a privilege for me to work with them. I'm going to just come on up here, girls. Just get on. Let's go on this side. On this side. We'll get to these two in just a second here, but I just wanted to explain how the pro season works for tennis. There's two components. There's an individual component where the kids vie for either singles or doubles individual championship, and then there's a team championship Final Four that's played in Columbus the day after the individual is played here the last few years in Mason at the Linder Family Tennis Center, and then we travel up to Columbus. We've been fortunate enough to get to the Final Four for the last few years, and we played the team tournament the next day. So I'm going to talk about the individual component for just a second, and then I'm going to turn it over to temporary junior co-captain Ria Zucci, and she's going to talk about the team component. This year we were fortunate enough to have 5 players qualify for the individual tournament, and that's 2 doubles teams and 1 singles player, and I think that was the most players in Division I, at least. I'm not sure about Division II, but we had a lot of kids qualify, and that's always a good thing. And I'm going to name the qualifiers and have them stand up, because it's quite an accomplishment just to get to the state tournament. And first of all, Danielle Reed and Danielle Lebedev, you'd stand up. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and it seemed like the easiest thing to do is put the 2 Danielles together to play doubles. Because, you know, I can forget kids' names occasionally, but they were known, I think, as the Danielles. Very original, but they played great tennis and made a great run to the state tournament. They ran into a kind of a tough team in their first round, and that team actually finished, what, second in the state? So they'll forever be known as state qualifiers. Congratulations, girls. And then our other doubles team that made it to the state tournament was Anna Tonkel and Risha Chada. And you can sit down, Tonkel. You're good. They had a fantastic run. They went all the way to the semifinals of the state tournament. And they're a normal 1 doubles team, and usually teams will put their best 2 players together on their team to get there. So it was really quite an accomplishment. You may remember last year, Risha's sister Raina did some talking, and we were joking about her being Baby Chada. Well, Baby Chada stepped up this year, and we didn't call her Baby Chada the whole year because she's Risha Chada. So she really stepped up and played some great tennis. And Anna Tonkel finished her career in great fashion, as Suchi will describe a little bit later as well. And then we had a singles player, Shaila Agarwal, have a pretty good run. So Shaila came in second in the state tournament last year, And that's really hard to do. I mean, it seems, looking back, it seems easy, for her to have accomplished what she did, but she played so many hard matches last year. Same thing this year. She had to come from behind. In the quarterfinals, she was down a set. In the final, she was down a set. It was such a, could you stand up one more time? I mean, look at Charlotte Agarwal. To see her, you cannot imagine how hard she can hit a tennis ball. And she did it in the finals against this girl for maybe, was it a 3-hour match?
Wow.
Maybe more. And both kids were hitting the ball as hard as they can. It was one of the best tennis matches I've ever seen. Charlotte came back from down a set, and maybe we were down a little bit in the second set at one point. Came back, won the second, played an incredible third set, and she became our first women's tennis champion in the history of Mason High School. Congratulations, Charlotte. She went 29-0 over the season, playing the best players that I could schedule against her. She was Player of the Year in the Greater Cincinnati Tennis Coaches Association. She was GMC Player of the Year, and now she's got a state championship as a junior. And so that was a pretty good day for most teams, but we had yet to play the team tournament, which is on Sunday, and we had a really long day. We got a late start because of the rain, and so I don't know what time we got off the court with Shiloh's match, probably 4:30, and we're going to be playing a match the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I know Shiloh's played 4 hard matches. So when we got up to Columbus, we did our routine, got some pizza, got some sleep, and then the matches were going to be played indoors the next day because of the rain. And that team competition, there's five positions that we play. We've got 3 singles and 2 doubles. And our first match was going to be against Toledo Notre Dame, and I'm going to let Riazuchi take from here. And Rashi Lona, come on up, girls. She's going to describe the events that she saw during the team competition, and then Rashi's going to.
Okay, so our lineup for state, we had second doubles. We had Danielle Reed and Danielle Lebedev, and they were former bench gangers last year, but now this year they actually qualified to state individually, so they improved a lot this year. And then at first doubles, we had Anna Tonko and Rishta Chada, who got 4th just the day before, and they're probably like one of the best doubles teams in the state. And then at third singles, we have Rashi Loney, aka the secret weapon, and Rashi's always battling for us, and she's always clinching the match for us. And then second singles, we have Arshita Upaganti, who last year was second doubles for us, but this year stepped up big time and became second singles, and she's always battling. And then for first singles, obviously we have Shyla, state champ, and she's always setting a good example for our team by always finishing her matches pretty quickly. And now we have the most important part of the team, the bench gang. I'm Maria, I'm bench gang president. So our first member of the bench gang is Harshita Ganga. She's our only freshman on the team at 13 years old.
Wow. Whoa.
Besides being she's a superstar in the classroom, but she always manages to balance academics and tennis. Next up, we have Sia Dornhecker. She sang the Star Spangled Banner at state the day before, and she's always the best dressed on our team. And then next up, we have Tanya Marla. She's always the hardest worker. She's always the hardest worker at practice and always making everyone play their best and pushing us to become the best we can be. Up next, we have Shruti Datla. She's a reliable member of the bench gang and always cheering. I never have to yell at her to cheer, unlike some other members. And then next up, we have my vice president, Swathi Reddy. She came from JV last year, so she really stepped up to be on varsity A this year. And when I wasn't there sometimes, she always stepped up and cheered the most. So then going back on Sunday, our first match, so the way state works is that there's 4 teams that go to state, and our first match was a semifinal match against Toledo Notre Dame, and we beat them pretty comfortably, I would say. So then this set up our final match against Magnificat, and we usually play them at state for the last couple of years. And we beat them earlier this season, but it was 3-2 in the beginning of the season. And the way that a tennis match works is that it's first to 3 points. So going into the match, we thought we might have a shot because we beat them at the beginning of the season. But unfortunately, it did not go that way in the beginning. So to start out, we had second doubles. We had Danielle and Danielle, and they had a close fought first set, but they ended up losing. And then we had Anna and Risha. And Anna and Risha, actually, they lost to this team the day before in individual state. Then they got their revenge. It mattered. And they ended up winning the first set. So we thought, okay, we won a first set, and then we lost one in the other match. So let's look at singles. Unfortunately, every single singles match, all 3 singles, lost their first set. So we were down 1-4 in all of the courts. So then we go to the second set. And then the Danielles, they had a really close second set, but they ended up losing. So that gave Magnificat their first point, and it's first to 3. So then the next match we had was Harshita at second singles, and she came back in the second set, but she still ended up losing. So then we gave Magnificat their second point. So we were down 0-2, and keep in mind, we have to get the 3 points. So to say things were looking bleak is an understatement. So now we have Shyla left at first singles, the best player in the state. So let's see what's going on in Shyla's court. Unfortunately, she's down 1-4 in the second set.
She lost the first already?
Yeah, she already lost the first set. And then we have Rashi. And in typical Rashi fashion, she was kind of, giving us a little bit of a thrill. She was battling back in the second set, but it was still pretty tight. And then we have first doubles, Anna and Risha. And they were down 1-4. But then a blessing in disguise happened. Anna took a tumble. But then ever since she fell, they came back and won 5 straight games in a row, and we ended up winning that match. So Anna's fall was the reason we got 1 point. So now we're down 1-2. So let's go back to Shyla's match. She was still kind of losing. But then, Shyla thought, what, let me step it up a little bit. Since she won 5 straight games in a row, and now we're in a third set tiebreak. And a third set tiebreak is first to 10 points. And in these cases, underdogs can kind of win easily because it's only to 10 points. So Shyla was down in the third set tiebreak 1-4. But then Shyla decided, I'm state champion, let me do something. She wins 9 straight points in a row. So now it's 2-all. And during this time, Rashi, taking her sweet old time in the second set, but she ended up actually winning the second set pretty closely. But it was really hard fought second set. But my memory, it's a bit blurry of that day. So Rashi, do you have anything to add?
So as I started the tiebreaker, all the spectators in the stands turned their attention to my court, which made me really nervous. And it was then the coaches tried to pump me up, and I was also comforted by the fact that all my teammates were just waiting to cheer as loud as they possibly could. So I started the tiebreaker, and before I knew it, I was up 9-5, and I needed only 1 more point to win the match. But then things started going a little bit downhill, and my opponent started taking a lot of risks, and she actually hit a lot of winners on me and a lot of really unreturnable balls. And then before I realized, it was 9-all. And I needed 2 more points to win. And at this point, the dynamic of the match was kind of crazy because while we were playing the points, it was deathly silent. But after one of us won, the stands erupted into cheers. And it was also a battle between the spectators seeing who can cheer the loudest, Mason or Magnificat. And I have to say that Mason definitely beat them. So at 9-all, I won the next point. So that gave me another match point. However, I kept on losing alternate points until it was 12-all. And at the stands, I saw all my teammates were very nervous. Anna was biting her nails off. And then somehow, miraculously, I won the next 2 points. I knew that I had to stay really consistent and wait for her to make the error and make her tired, because that's what I've been doing on the second set and most of the tiebreaker, and it had been very, very successful. And finally, she made the error, the last error. She missed her shot in the net. And that was when all my teammates came rushing to me, and I was almost trampled. But that was definitely my favorite part, was where we all started like jumping together and dancing together. Yeah.
How nervous were you rushing? And how do you play when you're that nervous? That's what I don't understand. You always done so well under pressure. It's really amazing.
My heart was like thudding in my chest, and like my fingers were shaking. But I don't know, somehow I pulled through. I really don't really know how.
And that was it. Thanks, girls.
Well, Coach, congratulations. Team, congratulations. Rashi, I want to commend you. You obviously answered the bell under pressure in the tournament, but especially here tonight, when your counterpart, her fuzzy memory kicked in, you were able to step up to the mic and deliver, the final sequence to give us the full effect. And Rhea, I know you have a long and prosperous tennis career ahead of you, but when you do decide to hang it up, I hope that we'll be able to hear you broadcasting the Western and Southern tournament here in That was some of the best play-by-play, definitely the best play-by-play of the tennis recaps that I think I've ever heard. So thank you for that recap. But girls, congratulations again. I'll pass the mic off to my fellow board members.
Yeah, Rhea, I was going to say that you should probably be present for all of the big games, all of the big events in town, and when we have students come to present, you should help present every time, because I think that would take some pressure off of people having to speak, and it would make it a lot of fun. That was, I think we've had these kinds of play-by-plays before, Coach Reed. We really appreciate having the students give us the play-by-play and the dramatic scene, because as silly as it sounds, it really does help us feel like we were there, and so it just helps us be that much more proud of what you accomplished, because you're usually pretty good at sharing your experiences, but we get to feel like we were there with you too, and we really appreciate that. We appreciate the laughs, and we appreciate so much your efforts, and we're so proud to see them pay off in such a big way, time and time again. So thanks for being here tonight. Congratulations.
So yes, Coach, thank you. I'm kind of getting used to seeing the tennis teams here. I mean, since I've been on board, we've been visited by tennis teams a lot. So congratulations. Obviously, you ladies are very talented. And I remember Baby Chada from the last time, and yeah, so you really stepped up. And
That's right.
So what's Big Chada doing?
She's at Ohio State.
Yeah, go Bucks. Nice. Well, thank you guys for sharing your evening with us, and thank you for taking the time to break it down blow by blow. It was really fun to hear your recollection, and you definitely have some more talents besides tennis in your future. So thank you, and congratulations.
And I'll just say that not only are you talented on the courts, but each of you I know excels in many other areas around this high school, and you set the bar very high for your classmates. Not just in tennis, but in your academics and your other activities, and we appreciate what you do for this place, and I know that your hometown is super proud of you. We are super proud of you, and I hope you always remember these moments over the last couple of weeks because they're super special. I'd also like to, for the parents that are here and the parents that aren't here, stand up, please. Tennis is I know Coach Reed will be the first to say, the parents are your first coach, either directly or they get you the opportunity to be properly trained, and tennis is not a sport that starts in a high school, it starts before that, and I know each of you young ladies have committed yourself, but your parents deserve that support as well. And then for Coach, I mean, what do we say? We appreciate your leadership, your commitment. You set the bar for our other coaches as well. And I'm thinking we may need a seminar for future state championships. He's done it so many times, he's had to kind of, keep it exciting, and you've done a great job by including the girls to lead the presentation. So, but thanks for everything that you do as well, Coach.
All right, last but not least, some of you probably have like a full set of these, but we've got some gifts for you, so if you want to.
last year.
Yeah, we try to change it up.
Well, last year, but I mean,
I know.
freshmen and sophomore have probably got.
Come on up.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Come down. Come on down. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Very nicely said. Congratulations.
Get a picture of it.
Congratulations. Are you a nail biter? Are you yeah. Congratulations.
I'm sure, yeah. It'll be something.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Danielle, I'll remember the Danielles. Congratulations.
They already know what to do, right?
Is this getting
Uncle,
old?
you're in the back.
Thank you, thank you.
Come on.
Did you get a? Congratulations.
I don't know if we can stand behind. It doesn't work.
Well, it's kind of.
There's no way.
They've got this down.
Can we get back here and do it? Okay. All right.
Just a little bit. How's it work?
Stand on the,
I'm the short one, aren't I?
You're on your toes, Charles.
I thought we were all on our toes.
And quickly.
Thank you,
Let the
guys.
record reflect.
Congratulations. Well announced. Thank you.
Luckily, I was too.
God, Zuzi.
Right?
I'm gonna be looking for
Talk to Tracy, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Netflix record.
Good seeing you again.
Coach.
Thanks so much.
And
All right.
Yeah. Oh, congrats. That's just awesome. Congratulations. It was so fun.
Congratulations, man.
Oh, thank you.
All right. This is a time in our meeting when we take a pause usually to let folks move on with their evening. So thank you again, girls, for coming, and have a good evening. Might ask Rhea to just come read the rest of this agenda.
Right? Are you feeling a little intimidated?
Breathe a little life. I mean, there's nothing to be. There's just no contest.
Just gotta get through it quick.
Yep. All right. The next item on our agenda is hearing of the public. We have one sheet tonight, so I'll go through what our public hearing policy is. Each person addressing the board shall sign the attendance sheet, complete and return a request to speak form, and be a resident or employee of the Mason City School District. Each person is allotted 3 minutes until the total time of 30 minutes is used. If 3 minutes is not sufficient, the person is encouraged to put his or her thoughts, comments in writing to the board members. The period of public participation may be extended or reduced by a vote of the majority of the board present and voting. In order to prevent disclosure of students' or employees' private information, the board will not allow any complaints about specific employees of the district in public session. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else I missed here. There will be a maximum of 30 minutes, but we won't reach that tonight since we have one person. So with that,
It's not a back and forth.
that's right. Yeah, usually, sometimes it gets a little awkward because we don't have a dialogue at this portion of our meeting, and we also, as a board, don't decide anything. We don't have, action items before us. So we're always happy to talk on scheduled times if we want to have email or telephone communications, or even set up in-person meetings. This is just one channel of communication that we offer for our folks in our community. So with that, we have one participant tonight, Edward Purdue.
Good evening. My name is Edward Purdue. My address is 301 East Circle Drive. According to the New Albany Plain Local Schools Treasurer, Article HB 920, its impacts on schools. Last meeting, you referenced your explanation of our tax increases. The chart with no numbers on it, but projected increases. In layman's terms, in my opinion, the view of it, that you get no government adjustments for inflation, so funding above your baseline is depending on your tax revenue and tax revenue alone. According to the briefing last meeting, 85% of the budget is for salary and retirements. In my opinion, the system is set up to never decrease, always asking for more tax dollars to fund your obligation. The current event news is that I wrote out the speech, but according to Boris Epstein of the War Room Pandemic, reports on FBI whistleblowers, the FBI set up a domestic terrorist for parents who speak at school board meetings. That's all I have to say tonight about current events. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. Purdue. The next item on our agenda is item number 8, non-district funded positions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Bakshi?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
4-0.
Next item on our agenda is item number 9, certified personnel superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Bakshi?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
4-0.
Next item on our agenda is item number 10, supplemental personnel superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mrs. Bakshi?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 11, resolution for hiring non-certified personnel superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Bakshi?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 12, classified personnel superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Bakshi?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 13, classified personnel, additional duties. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Bakshi?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 14, treasurer's report. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Just
Tom?
one thing
Oh,
to,
sorry.
yeah, sorry, just one thing to highlight tonight, under the donations, we continue to collect PPE and COVID tests and things like that for use as needed, so that we've been able to have a large supply of things that students or staff might need. So more of those tonight, and again, always appreciate community members and partners who are helping us out in that area.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sean. Any other discussion? Sean?
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 15, committee reports. Let's see, do we have a Arts and Activities Committee meeting?
Just an approval of the of various clubs and advisors.
Student Achievement, was that Friday?
It was. I'm happy to report.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Student Achievement met Friday afternoon. We heard some updates on our ELA Instructional Resource Review, and we're grateful a few teachers were able to join us to share their insights and experiences a bit. Nikki Wilson and Lori Roth from the high school and Stacy Baugh from ME. And we got to look at our, what we were calling our literacy compass. It's really the guiding vision document about the shared learning experiences that we would expect for all of our students in kindergarten through 12th grade, aligned to our rocks. So really getting to what does that look like for them to help us to make sure we're selecting resources wisely, and had valuable input from a parent community lens that we'll use to get to our final version of that document. It was also a great time to hear from our teachers for new course proposals. So we heard proposals from the high school for some world language level 4 courses, from the middle school for 3 elective offerings, a character and leadership course offering, which is a complement to the empowerment health course that's offered there currently, an English elective, the art of storytelling. Michaela Hahn and Aaron West shared that. And then a social studies or language arts elective called Decoding the Digital Universe. So really thinking about some of those skills to help understand all of the other sources of information that our students are getting all the time through, whether it's their devices or otherwise. And Jocelyn Berlew shared that proposal. So we got some great feedback from our committee from that. We'll be reviewing it, and then ultimately at our December meeting, expect Superintendent Cooper to prepare those recommendations to the board for a first reading at our December meeting, and then a second reading in January. And finally, Robin Jordan and Bobby Dodd brought some amazing student leaders to share some of the projects that they have been working here at the high school, leading Big Rock learning for their peers and with teachers around mental health professional learning for teachers from a student's perspective, and from their IE student leadership team as well. And we had the chance to have real small group discussions and for them to share their impressive work with us as well. So it was a great conversation and some exciting work that we'll be continuing to update you on.
Thanks, Amy. All right.
Charles, and it's not on here, but we actually had it's the Safe and Inviting Schools Committee, but it was a reunification meeting today at 5.
Oh, okay.
So Todd led the meeting. I can give you a brief summary, but if you want large details, Todd's the person for that. Todd, do you want?
Todd seems eager.
Hey,
We are
this is his thing.
updating our emergency operation plans required by the state of Ohio. We've had a reunification plan for the last 7 years. We're continually looking at it, just based on the student population that we have. And today we had Mark Mersnowski, who talked about how we would organize the kids in their reunification sites, how we would transport those kids home from there. Sherry Ballman talked about how we would permit students to leave with adults and the identification perhaps they'd have to show in the event they showed up at the reunification sites. And then, of course, Christine and Tracy talked about the hardest part, and the part that worries me the most, is if kids choose to flee. If we have an emergency situation and we use our ALICE techniques and they choose to flee from school property, we will have to locate all of those kids that evening. So, for example, in a high school of 3,500 kids, if 2,000 of them decide to flee, we're going to be spending some time that evening trying to find out all of their whereabouts. So Christine and Tracy have put together a plan of how they're going to be able to do that.
And it was a good plan. It was very well thought out. the use of an app to assist us. And yeah, I can tell Todd and his team have put a lot of work and thought into making our school prepared in the event of emergency. An emergency could be anywhere from, you know, a violent crisis to a weather emergency in any of the buildings. So yeah,
Awesome.
I feel very settled knowing that these folks have this, they've got it, and a good plan in place.
Fire in the wood shop.
Yeah.
Anything. All right. Next item on our agenda, item number 16, legislative update.
Yeah, I mean, with the legislative update, I'll just give a couple just quick. We were in Columbus, a handful of our, well, just a few of us were in Columbus for the Alliance for High Quality Education lunch that was in correspondence or in alignment with OSBA this last weekend. I think it was last weekend. And one of the, they have two conversations that are going on around the state that are pretty important that we need to pay attention to. One is the ESSER dollar allocation funds. There are still some ESSER dollars that we've talked about in our board meetings, and I've given updates that we're advocating that we would like the state to consider bringing all districts up to a $1,000 per pupil floor. That's something that we've been working with our legislators, working with Ohio Department of Education, and also the governor's office. And so that continues to be a conversation. That made it to the luncheon that we were a part of. They spoke to that. I think it was Representative Andy Brenner spoke specifically about that, and one of the other legislators that was there representing on the panel, and that conversation is taking place now at the state level. So we'll see if our advocacy work is continuing to move forward there. It's looking positive, so we'll keep updating you on that as that goes forward. The second conversation that's out there is a lot of conversation around school choice, and that will be a conversation that will be here for a long time. I mean, that's not going to go anywhere, but and we're not against school choice in general as a school district. That's something that we're all about, parent and family choice. It's just a matter of making sure that the funding models continue to support that and do that well. So with the new funding that's out there, and Sean could speak specifically to that, they did carve out some of that for schools, and so that's something we can talk more about in detail, but we're continuing to watch that closely, because as that conversation expands, and there's definitely a lot of interest at the state level with the current legislators and leadership to see that expand. We want to make sure that we watch that closely so we understand what impact that has on us locally in terms of our funding as well. So we'll keep you updated on that, but nothing besides that. There's nothing new that's actually happened. It's more of just conversations and warming up to that. And you know how that works in the legislative world. It goes quickly, so we just want to always be poised and ready for those conversations so that we can jump in where we need to and support where we need to as well.
Thank you, Jonathan. Item number 17, administrator commentary.
In a time as we start to head into a season of gratitude, I just want to thank so many of our staff who are working so hard to make things good for kids in a time period that, even though we're coming out of the pandemic, is still really hard, and still thinking of new, different ways. One thing to put on your calendar as a holiday new tradition. Many of us who have been lucky enough to score a ticket for Elegant Holiday in the past, that wasn't open to the full community. It was just if you had a student performing. This year, for the very first time, the choir boosters are using that as a fundraiser. It's going to be an amazing event, actually in the auditorium, December 10th and 11th. Tickets are $10 each, and will be a really great fundraiser, but also just appreciate that we can be together and sing. Last year, they did a virtual winter holiday event. This year, they're expanding Elegant Holiday for our whole community, and I know area senior citizens who might be looking for that opportunity to get into that holiday spirit. This would be one to put on your calendar.
Well, the Ohio Department of Education has actually created a new Office of Personalized Learning, And so we're excited to see that as we're, many years now into our journey, to see them also following that trend. And the new director of this office reached out to our learning experience team to say, we want to learn about what's happening in Mason. And so she came here with some other members of the committee that are really developing that framework just to learn, and spent time in classrooms in each of our 5 buildings, spent time with some of our administrators, with our learning experience designers, and we're just wowed by the amazing things that our educators are doing with our learners every day. And so really grateful to see that, we're part of not just the great things we're doing here, but part of that state conversation. I'm really grateful to our learning experience team who's planted the seeds and towed the soil, or tilled the soil, to get it ready so that, we really can be a model and an inspiration to others, and to our teachers for opening their classrooms to, visitors from the ODE, the state, which can feel quite intimidating, but really welcomed them in and had just so many great things to show and for others to learn from. So we look forward to kind of seeing how that continues to develop, and how we can continue to partner and hopefully be a support in the coming months.
I want to thank, we had our Leadership Academy, a session just right before this session, and we had 11 teachers actually attend, and we had 4 of our assistant principals that provided a roundtable, what it's like to be an assistant principal. But the most remarkable thing is that those 11 individuals have actually gone to 6 sessions that have spanned over 2 academic years. So they have stuck with it, they persevered, they came back even in this year because, circumstances change. Some people are like, I don't want to. They were committed to it. So what I love is that we are investing in our internal resources so that we can bring people through our organization. So just great shout out to them and thanking them for just pursuing it and continuing and persevering despite all the circumstances that tell them not to. And also for the 4 assistant principals that I learned a lot about them today, and it was absolutely they knocked my socks off. So I'm so impressed with our administrative staff.
Quickly, I would like to just recognize our bus drivers and nutrition workers. Yet again, they continue just to battle through, doing well. Appreciate the board support and some of the things you've been able to do for them as well. But this week I received 2 calls of asking, how are you guys keeping that together? Because people are really struggling. And it's just, again, they just set the bar so high, and I look at them and really just appreciate everything that they do. So I hope they know that.
One of the things we've talked about several times over the last few months is our amount of ESSER or COVID funds. We've gotten mostly our conversations around the limited amount we've gotten compared to other school districts. And because we've gotten a small amount, our main priority really has been to use our dollars on things that we're already spending money on. So to help offset some of the COVID-related expenses we've had around the district over the last year and a half. One of the things that we are seeing is we have one of the rounds is coming up is for IDEA funds through ESSER. And so we'll continue to have the same priority of spending those dollars on things that we're already doing to kind of help offset some of our COVID expenses. However, we do have a public hearing coming up on December 8th at 6 o'clock at Mason Central for any community members or anybody out there who would like to come and speak about what those dollars possibly should be used on, and we'll welcome their feedback at that meeting.
Thanks. John, real quick, IDEA for people that are not aware, can you explain what that is?
IDEA is special ed related funding, so it's individuals with disabilities, Education Act. There we go.
We don't usually have to, I didn't mean to put you on the spot with the acronym, but
That's
I appreciate
great.
it.
That's great.
Amy, help.
All right, just a couple quick things. Just a congratulations to our fall sports. We just honored. We have we have the practice of bringing our state champions, and I just have to share this. Someone today was asking, "Hey, have you ever had any state champions in your school district?" That was the question that they started with, and I said, "Well, yeah. Do you mean like what sport are you talking about?" And they said just in general, and I know this sounds crazy, but we take it for granted often. We have so many state champion things. We're just really fortunate. We have our kids perform at this super, super high level. And so when you look at you hear our tennis team, they didn't tell this, but so they've been to state 7 years in a row. The first time they arrived, they came in 3rd place. The second time they went, they were in 2nd place. And the next 5 times they won state. That's unheard of. And so, you know, we joke, and the kids are really good about sharing that story. Our cross-country team in the fall, and the great thing about cross-country is we allow all students to participate. I mean, it's not like a sport where we say, and not all teams do that. You know, as a school district, we've allowed our students to all participate that want to, and we support that. But that team went, the top 7 are the ones that score. They went and won state by just an astronomical amount. I mean, it was they didn't say it was a record. I didn't look into that, but in terms of the gap between 1st and 2nd wasn't even close. And so just fun to watch our kids perform at that level and do just a great job. So, and our girls ran in state as well, and they came in, I think, 8th place. And just excited to watch all of our fall sports kind of just continue to do great things and finish up some solid seasons. The other piece of that is it's not just in sports. We have our marching band. Again, our marching band, we allow all of our kids to participate. Again, when you look at the marching bands that we're going up against, they are the best in the nation. And a lot of the schools have very specific criteria where they cut off, like these kids can be in it, these kids cannot be in it. And we've always tried to do our best to include any kid that wants to be a part of that can be out there and continue to participate. And it's hard. I mean, marching band is not easy. As you know, they're probably the hardest working people on earth. They do 9-hour, 10-hour practices. I mean, it's crazy. But then to go to Indianapolis this last weekend to watch them and to celebrate and to see them perform at that level and this is the year, interestingly enough, that the top schools across the nation all came to the competition, because a lot of times it's an every other year thing. So you might get like half of the top schools, but because COVID hit, it stacked everybody up. And so there was this moment where, and I was sitting at home ready to go, ready to drive to Indianapolis, all excited, and I've got a whole system, and we've done this enough times, and waiting to get the call. And this is the first time I was like, oh, I don't know if we're going to get to the finals. I mean, this competition is off the hook. And I don't have the video. If I had it here, it'd make you cry. But the video of our kids, they're all in the space, and they're watching, and they announce all of the people going to finals. And there's 12 teams that get to go to finals, 12 school districts across the nation. And they're at like 10. And I mean, everyone's like, and they've prepared the kids. This may not be the year. I mean, this is the hardest year. And then they announce William Mason Marching Band, and the kids just go berserk. You know, the camera's shaking in the room. And that's all. That moment right there was the moment. That was the Mason moment that they'll remember for the rest of their life. And so they went out and performed beautifully for the finals, but that was the moment. Like, they all together had that second that it was exciting. So it was fun to watch them. The parents were there. I got to talk to a lot of the parents, and they're just continue to be thrilled with the opportunities our kids get. So just congratulations to our students. That's basically what and they continue to go into. Now we're going into winter sports, so another great season.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right, item number 18, board commentary. Desiree?
I think the only thing I wanted to add for this evening is I failed to comment on the tennis team's camaraderie and friendship. Yeah. And just, you could tell that was a close group of girls, and what a special bond they had. So I hope that they get the message that I neglected to mention that, but it's really, it was so neat to see them all giggling and patting each other on the back, and just really a team, a true team. And that stretches way beyond playing tennis. That's all I have tonight.
Matt?
Yeah, there's something I should have said when the tennis team was still here and Coach Reed was here too, and what I thought of but didn't say is that fantastic accomplishment by the team. I wanted to say about Coach Reed, my favorite thing about Coach Reed is that in this small amount of time that we share with him and his team, you can tell the relationship that he has with his players. You know, I talked about the fact that he has them now presenting this play-by-play dramatic scene for us. He does that because he knows that those students can do that, and he knows that they want to do it. He knows his players, and he has a real relationship with them, and you can just see it in the way they interact. And that I mean, on top of everything else, that's incredible and inspiring. And so thank you, Coach Reed. The band, congratulations to the band. I was really sad that this year I didn't line up my calendars correctly and decided to buy tickets to an Ohio State game for my boys for their first game, and it happened to be on that same day. And so I was really bummed that I couldn't. I was actually waiting because if it was a noon kickoff, maybe I could get to Indianapolis, but it was a 3:30 kickoff. I'm wearing my Script Ohio socks, Kevin, to celebrate our victory over Purdue.
You could have left early. And not
We did. I think we 52 points or something. We're up. But I just wanted to say how exciting.
59.
Yeah. Well, when we left, it was 52.
Oh.
Yeah. We left a little early. It's 45 and a half, but who's counting? The band, one of my favorite thing about seeing our students succeed is to see their hard work paying off in a big way. And this year for the band, like you said, Jonathan, there's just something about that moment that just culminated so much. I think it was so much pent up from last year and this year, and culminated in that moment. And so could not be more proud of them for all that they've done, the hard work that they put in, and the parents to make that happen. And I just wanted to congratulate them on a great season. Reflect on a couple things too. I can't believe we haven't had a meeting since the Mason Schools Foundation Gala at the end of October. And man, what a night to celebrate so many things, to be able to be together again, to celebrate things that are happening in our schools and the foundation, and to bring our community together. There's so many teachers, so many families, parents, just a fantastic night to be together, celebrate our teachers, our students, and the foundation and all that they do to help support what we do here in the schools. And then, you know, not that dissimilar event was the Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast the day before I went to the Ohio State game. I mean, that was also just another moment of, wow, you don't realize how much you miss being together in those ways. And it was a really nice community moment to come together and, you know, for a great cause, for Kiwanis and all they do in our community too. So thank you for getting back to the Pancake Breakfast, and a great morning. That's all. Oh, sorry, one more thing. So I had to check the schedule before. I didn't want to say this and then find out that we actually had a PD day on Monday or something. But so next week is a break. And I just want to, I know that administrators are probably telling our staff this, but to the extent that it convinces you to do it because you're hearing it from this seat differently than an administrator, everybody, and actually you guys, administrators, take a break. Like, we're all tired. This has been a very long couple years. Take a break. I mean, really, turn off the emails, turn off the computers, take a break, be with your families, relax. We know what you're doing for our students, our families, and we want you to be able to do that for your families and for yourselves. So take a break. That's it. Thanks.
Kevin?
Well, I just want to make a comment about the accomplishment of our students, and the fact that I often say that to people that are worried or ask or kind of nervous about a season, that we don't, this board has never really cared about how many you win or lose. I don't think we've ever let a coach go because they're not winning. You know, what you learn in all of these activities, whether you're throwing a ball around, running around the field, hitting a ball, playing an instrument, whatever, is the whole point. And all the things around leadership and resilience and hard work and stepping out of your comfort zone are all part of building that you know, young, experienced young woman or young man who is ready to go out and reapply that in the world. And so, you know, we celebrate the state championships not because of the banner that's going to go up. That's for them to enjoy, and that's for them to, those moments are things that they'll always remember, and they should. But for us, it's recognition and reaffirmation that's the right kind of activity to try to cultivate and create, so that they have those experiences that are unique, a little bit maybe unique, versus people they're going to run up into as they grow into their lives. And so I want to thank all the coaches, all the advisors who make that possible, because Coach Reed is a unique person. The amount of time and commitment he puts into this team is very evident, but we have 100 other or so coaches and advisors that are doing that, for creating that experience for those kids. And so I appreciate all that they do. And hopefully when we recognize the state champions, we're also recognizing that environment that they're coming out of, and we certainly appreciate all of that. I couldn't let the day go by without just saying that there was an election. We're going to have a change in our board. Certainly congratulate Connie and Charles, and welcome Mr. Orr as he comes on board. But I'm sorry, Matt, but I'll start the conversation that I know that will extend into the next meeting. But you're one of the best board members I've served with. And although the election didn't go your way and our way this year, it really is probably just a change in how you're going to contribute to this community. And so I look forward to working with you however that goes. And thank you for your time and service. And like I said, we're going to have more probably at the next meeting, but I didn't want a meeting to go by without that recognition. So thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm going to reserve my comments on that, other than a brief thank you to the community as well for returning me here, and reserve the rest of my comments on election stuff for the next meeting. But I do want to circle back to the celebration of our teams, or the tennis team was tonight. We've alluded to the cross-country team, who I'm sure we'll see later on this year. We talked about the band, and the thing that comes through with all of these acknowledgments and recognitions is the community that is built around these teams, and that really makes the high level of achievement possible. Just the talent alone and the commitment alone can probably get you up there into the top 90 percentile. But it's a special bond, and it's something that, to Kevin's point, is what kind of pushes these experiences over the edge. And that's not something that the single state champion or the top performing kids can accomplish on their own. I think we saw a great example of that tonight with how Rhea, recapping the whole run to the state championship, just lit up the room, and how excited her teammates were to hear her tell that, and to see somebody who is obviously a member of the team contributing in such a significant way, and just sort of reiterating for the rest of us that it's not just about the person who's hitting the ball over the net and lasting the longest and returning the shots. It is everything in between those deciding moments that keeps the team together, that keeps the momentum going forward, that picks you up on the tough days in practice, that picks you up in the off season and makes you look forward to coming to practice, makes you look forward to coming to tryouts. And it doesn't just apply to teams. It doesn't apply to the sports. It applies to all of the activities, all of the opportunities that we're blessed to be able to offer here. And so I just get so excited when I see kids kind of hit their stride in something. It might not be something that they knew before that they had a passion for, but once they get that exposure and that opportunity, seeing them really blossom with it, it's just the coolest thing. And we see it across the spectrum with academics and other things as well. And so it's one of my favorite parts about being up here, and I know it's shared by the rest of our board. So with that, I am going to go ahead and move for item number 19, adjournment.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.